Hi, students. Today's lecture is about preparing your table of authorities for a case that I'm going to provide you with. Now, on the left-hand side of the screen is basically an outline for this week's lecture. And we talk about these legal briefs a number of times, but I want to clarify for you that there are internal briefs and there are external briefs. When we talk about internal briefs, it's essentially what we're doing to help out the attorney drafting uh, briefs that we've read in cases to sort of summarize what's there. When we talk about external briefs, we're talking about memorandum of points of authority or any kind of other information that we use for the court to persuade. So this is a different type of brief because our writing is done not objectively, but to persuade the court in some kind of way. Now, when we submit a brief to the court will request, and particularly if it's more than 10 pages, that it come with a table of contents or a table of authority. Now, a table of contents is pretty self-explanatory. It becomes one of those documents that we see just quite similar to going to a book or anything else. It's nothing more than just an overview of what is being presented within the document. And I'll show you an example of that later. But a table of authorities, what we use it for is to really show the references that are in the legal briefs that we submit to the court. So that what happens here is the authorities that we submit within the brief can be highlighted and found easily by opposing counsel. So we're required to give them this table of authorities for easy, quick reference. Now, if you look over here on the right-hand side of the screen, this is an example of a table of authority. Now, you'll note the fact that we have them listed as cases, statutes, uh, and that actually comes from the order of citations that's set out in Rule 15 of the Rules of Court. And you can see they have cases first, statutes, court rules, constitutional provision, other authorities. This is the order that you're going to use, and you have to set it up in this way. If you manually go through the document, then you're going to start with writing each case in the order that is set up here. Now, quite honestly, you know authorities. You know federal authorities come before state authorities, and the same thing with federal statutes come before state statutes. But if you're just dealing with a case that comes out of your state of California, then you know that the authority is going to be basically nothing more than California cases, statutes, and any other type of authorities that they've listed. Now, I do want to point out something here. You'll notice when we have the cases, so for instance, Baumberger versus McKelvey, City of Salinas versus Salsa, Gallagher versus Midwood, you'll notice each one of these cases that are in alphabetical order. That's the requirement. So if you start listing the cases, they come in alphabetical order. You'll also provide the pages that they're on. So if one case is listed on several pages, then you'll have to provide all those pages. Okay? Now, take a look at the statutes. The statutes, too, are also listed in alphabetical order. However, it's also listed based on its citation, its reference. So if 3086 comes from 3115 of the same civil code, then of course it obviously will follow. Now, if you have a civil provision that's listed several places, and again, you may have different pages or different areas that it's listed, it'll all follow and show up here. Okay? If you have other references, again, if you have constitutional provisions or other things, they will have their own category and they'll be listed. So you don't want to include this on your final document. That's nothing more than a reference. We're looking at these categories based on the information that you have. Okay? Now, I also want to point out to you real briefly a table of contents. Now, I'll repeat this again. You don't have to do a table of contents for this assignment. You will for your final assignment, but not for this assignment. And as I said earlier, it's nothing different than what you've seen before. You have the information set up. You have the page number, where to find it. It's just given in some kind of order that you can find these topics and these headings. What I do want to point out when you do get to your final project, there is an organizational format. You see it starts with Roman numerals. It has the uppercase alphabet. Then it has the Arabic numbers, and then the lowercase Roman numerals. So that's what we have to do. So what I have attached is a document on how to use Microsoft Word to set up your table of authorities. But again, you don't have to follow that. You can do it manually if you so choose, or you can go to the website, or at least the I'm drawing a blank here. You can go to the web page that I linked onto you, the YouTube that you can link onto to see how it's set up there. Now, good luck with this assignment. Know that I am in my office. Know that you can email me, you can text me, but you should contact me if you find any issue with completing the assignment. Okay, I wish you luck, and it is due by next Monday at 6 p.m.